Mark Tronson from the Australian Missionary News, and I have here Greg Chappell. Greg is the AIS head coach just for cricket. Greg is also a member of the Hall of Fame, and he's certainly a very household name. Now, Greg, I'm keen to talk to you today just about respite, and I'm just wondering, just from your own experience back in the 80s, what value did you put on respite just towards the end of your career?
It was always very important, and not just at the end of my career. I think I learned early on that time away from the game was very important. I suppose we were a little bit more fortunate in that we had to have a career outside of cricket, so we didn't spend as much time involved purely with cricket. But during a cricket season, it was pretty much full on, and I learned early on that I needed some time away. And for me, it was just even if it was a morning or an afternoon down at the beach, just to have a bit of a quiet time. The beach suited me really well because I enjoyed body surfing and doing things like that. But it seemed to be something close to nature was quite refreshing for the mind.
Now, Greg, you have quite often said that the cricketers today are sometimes just their own worst enemies.
Well, I think particularly when you're young, you want to play every game of cricket that you can and all forms of the game. But with the international program being so full these days, it really does become difficult. And I'm sure every cricketer finds at some point, maybe some it's earlier than others, but at some point that it's really hard. I think Mike Hussey is probably a good example of that at the moment. Mentally, he's struggling in comparison with where he was at 18 months ago. He was in really good form, was obviously quite good mentally, but at the moment he's struggling, and just to get a short break from the game can be really refreshing.
Well, what are some of the practical tips just for some of these fellows who are spending 9 months, 10 months away, 2009, 10 months away?
Trying to get some sort of balance in your life is really difficult when you've got that much time away, and particularly for the guys that have got families. I know myself that as we started to have children, and the more children we had, the harder it became to get away and be able to focus only and intently on your cricket. So it's really important. I mean, reflection is important at all stages on your career. I mean, to be able to go away and reflect on how things are going as far as your cricket's concerned is really important as to developing your talent. But as far as your relationships go and as far as your mental well-being is concerned, it's really important.
Now, as the new AIS head coach, what are some of the things which you've put in place, which are brand new, to try to alleviate fellows being away from home for 4 months?
Well, we've got quite a good support structure here with regard to, from a physical point of view, physiotherapy and strength and conditioning coaches. But we've also got a sports psychologist who's involved, obviously, with helping the players from the cricket point of view, helping them with their mental, their routines and all of that sort of thing. But also keeping a bit of a track of how they're going mentally. And from time to time, we've actually sent players home and told them to have a break. So we've shortened the program a little bit so that they're not away from home and away from their support structures for as long. And as I say, identifying when they need a break to be able to get away and just freshen up. It's amazing how much better they come back after they've had a bit of a break with family, friends, and just away from the game.
Now, in 1992, Wellbeing Australia established Basil Sellers Maruya, just which you've been to, for the athletes and coaches from the Australian Institute of Sport in Canberra. And the last 4 years we've now established a Basil Sellers Tweed here in the Tweed. What role do you think just that respite might play in such a facility to get the athletes away, and that how important is it just in your a perspective that there's a different angle involved, such as one's Christian faith.
Yeah, look, I think everybody's different, obviously, and you know, we have a number of players involved in our AIS program who do have quite a strong faith, and I think for them to be able to go away to an area like that not only gives them the mental break but helps them to refresh themselves in so many different ways is going to be important to them. And from our point of view here in Brisbane, to have a respite centre down at the Tweed is obviously very handy because it's not that far away. So I'm quite sure that a number of our players through the next few years will make use of the facility.
Greg Chappell, you have been a great friend of mine and the cricket ministry for nigh on now 27 years, and that I'd like to say thank you so very much.
It's a pleasure, Mark. It says a bit about us, doesn't it? We're getting older.
We are. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, Mark.